Hi, my name is Sarah Coleman, and I'm a junior here at SUNY Brockport, bringing to you a commentary on Shakespeare and Helm's philosophy text on love. In his text, Love, Bennett W. Helm goes through numerous philosophical minds in their text and breaks down how they illuminate and veil the concept of love. His conclusion is an excellent one. Love is in its most healthy and ardent form when it is one of emotional complexity. Ideally, we give of ourselves without losing sense of self or agency with intentions to properly provide for our partner. It's similar to in Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water when the speaker offers to give of himself to comfort the silver girl. Shakespeare, on the other hand, depicted what was happening in his own world. And he was presenting the concept of arranged marriages and romantic love and family and friends, and we'll get through all of it. So first off, we have the arranged marriages. So we have, while we don't get their background because of the culture, we can assume that the Capulets and the Montague parents are arranged marriages. And so they are seen as business arrangements to further the prosperity and stability of the family tree. So both parents work together towards a common goal set by the husband and head of the household. The character of Paris also subscribes to this perspective, the societal narrative, what he's supposed to do. And so with the blessing of society and the Capulets, he follows this rubric and hopes that it'll work well with Juliet. He is considerate about how he does this, and he sees love as what Helm categorizes as appreciation of value. He sees her as what's needed. He needs a woman who will provide children, who will be the wife, who will fill that position. He's essentially looking for someone like a job interview. And he's found Juliet, and she's the perfect candidate for him. So his words to her at confession, which is one of the few times that there's ever any conversing between the two, if the only time, it fits how society works. He's doing what's expected of him without any cruelty. He works congenially with Capulet, her father, the man that had the household, who would be handling matters like this. And then when he speaks to her, he speaks to her as, well, thanks for filling in your position. See you later. Like, we're getting married. This is great. And that is, but his perspective seems to wish to work towards a union of interests and desires that Helms describes in part 2. He wants it to work. He's looking for a well-oiled machine to work. Then Shakespeare's representation of Romeo fits the classic Greek word of eros. Admittedly, this is like the only possible explanation due to the fact that we have a time afforded for these two, meaning Romeo and Juliet. So Romeo has no time to prove himself, so all we have is him moving from Rosaline to Juliet in under 24 hours just based off pure obvious sets of beauty. But his action of suicide portrays a deeper attachment, or I suppose some more cynical minds could associate with this with obsession or some intense infatuation, which is possible, but if we take out the logic of time here and we just allow this timeline to stretch out in our minds, his love for Juliet, if just given more time, could be representative of something as more than just looking to see what he can get out of it or just witnessing what his eyes like versus how he's emotionally attached to her. Juliet, on the other hand, sees potential in Romeo off of the little bit of history she has with him. His love is quite similar to the more ideal emotional complexity that Helms arrived on in his conclusion. Juliet weighs her life options and sees the intrinsic nature of Romeo's passionate ups and downs and thus passion for her, and wishes that over Paris's rule-following push to only find somebody to fill the role. So she is looking for what I think love really is. She's looking for somebody who seems to be more of a partner. Romeo never puts any power over her. She's the one who often makes a lot of the more emotional decisions. She has a lot of, at the time, what would be considered masculine energy, as she is able to have, they have that banter where they go back and forth, and the kiss from my lips is like the sin and all that. It's banter. Like, she's allowed to be in this equal position. And that's so important for her because she has this great sense of identity and personal agency that Shakespeare gave her. And admittedly, it's not historically common for this to happen, which is why it's so cool to see Shakespeare represent this. That she does want that true love, that she is willing to give everything she has for it. So when she's told by her parents that you must marry Paris, she's willing to die to stay faithful out of love for her husband. And yes, there's the religious side of this, that she believes that, her God would be angry at her. But it's so clear that she does this not out of duty to a religious text or a religious narrative, but out of love for Romeo. And that really sets her apart in this story. We also have representations of parents and children, of course. So we have the Capulets that have that business sense of love towards their daughter, which is contrasted with the nurse, because the nurse has been really Juliet's mother. The two parents are separated. Juliet is a means of the business transaction. Once again, she will, interestingly enough, maybe there wasn't time, but no siblings are mentioned for either one of these characters. Juliet is supposed to help her family. Paris is perfect for this. And so it's very much of an equation. Whereas the nurse doesn't have a lot of ideas of her own. She likes to weasel her way through this story and cause trouble and help Juliet. And then there's the friar, and she's a very complex character when it comes to really figuring out what's going on in her head. She's very much a vessel for the plot movement. But she genuinely loves Juliet because she's genuinely Juliet's mother. She was her actual wet nurse. She was the one who raised Juliet this entire time. And she talks about the nurse talks about her husband and how her husband had that connection with Juliet and was teasing her. And there's clearly more of a parent-child relationship there and a genuine love where she genuinely wants what's good for Juliet. It's just that she changes her mind a lot as to what that means. The Montagues have concern for their son Romeo, and they even ask his friends about his disposition because he's been crying in his room and blocking himself in and being some little emo boy in his room with his blackout curtains. And they're like, is he good? Checking in on his mental health with his friends, which is great parenting. And so while the Montagues don't show up a whole lot, they actually are the best representation of the parent relationship, other than if we're counting the nurse. The nurse kind of has some points docked because she's not that great at telling Juliet what she really needs in her life. But that's way besides the point. And then we have Romeo and his friends. Romeo and his friends are very loyal. They get along decently well. They have that banter. They have that love. It's a very, genuine friendship. And they kill for each other. And also, I love Benvolio. Benvolio is great when it comes to helping Romeo out and being honest with the people and all that. And so he's got a little patriotic for his city-state too there. So this is my take on the loves throughout Romeo and Juliet and a little bit of Helms, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye!